you're going to hear this all the time. Even when you go into the EdTPA work days, they're going to focus on central focus for like a good day straight in the workshops. And you're going to have people from the writing center come in and even give you tips on how to write your central focus. Your central focus is really important because that outlines what your whole unit's about. Like what are you doing? What are you focusing in on? And the central focus has to be written like really clearly and understandable to your audience or whoever's looking at it. I don't know if this was my final one, but so that the central focus, you're going to write that in part E, task 1 in your planning commentary. It's going to be like the first thing they ask you. So this was my central focus. My central focus is identifying main story elements in a sequence of events in order to retell stories. So you always want to have your essential strategy and what else do they look for? That's really important. The requisite skills. Those two components are really important because you're going to see that come up constantly. So you want to be able to incorporate that into your central focus. So I also said the purpose for the content I will teach in the learning segments is that I want my students to learn how to retell stories by using different techniques such as speaking, writing, and illustrating. Main story elements include character setting, plot, and conclusion. These elements are important in order to retell stories because they are the main idea. You get the hint. Important down here that I said another purpose for the content I will be teaching is because it follows the Common Core modules. That is what's used in the districts. And you just want to link everything. It is aligned to the New York State Common Core standards. That's really important to put in there so they know you're just not taking it out of thin air. Everything you do, honestly, in any class, any lesson you do, should always relate to the standards, which is really easy because honestly, anything you do, I'm sure there's a standard for you can find. So it's just really important that you include standards. And again, I just state a lot of, here I took a standard and I copied and pasted it in there to back up why I'm doing this. That's really it. You just want to have a really good focus, what you want your audience to know. Pretend like the audience has no idea, they don't know what you're doing. This opens them up to what you're doing. Pretend like they don't know how to sequence a story. Make it really clear, like, this is how you do this. This is why I'm doing this. And that's your central focus.
And in the central focus, you describe what you will do, what lessons you will teach, and it should be in the future tense, right? Because it's planning.
Yes.
Make sure.
Is important. It's your planning. So they say you have to do this before you go into the classroom, which is important. Sometimes, to be honest, you will fall behind and you will answer these questions after you're teaching. You just have to keep in mind that whatever you did, you have to put it in the future tense. You have to pretend like you didn't do it beforehand. So that's really it. The planning part is really important. Again, you have to think of how are you you really need to get to know your kids, how are you going to address their backgrounds, and what are their interests. For me, using the smartboard was really important because my kids weren't exposed to technology, nor did my classroom teacher ever use the smartboard. She was scared of technology, so it was something that was good because not only did I introduce using the smartboard to my kids, I also got her accustomed to using it, and now she uses it all the time. So you want to use as much technology as you can, and Dr. Smirnova will give you all these wonderful ideas and tips on how you can incorporate technology in the classroom, which is so simple. The most important thing is you just want your kids to be engaged. Anything on a smartboard will make them go nuts. So just try to do things on the smartboard, projector, make it really interactive. Videos are important. want to show them videos that relate to what you're doing. I didn't have any students that had an IEP or 504, but if you do, make sure you mention how you're going to support their learning needs. Again, here's an example of how I cited Vygotsky, because he's one of the famous people who we all talk about in education, but I didn't just throw his name out there. I wasn't just like, oh, Vygotsky did this. I said, my instructional strategies are based on Lev Vygotsky's social cultural perspective that child thinking is guided and supported by social interactions. In Martin and Faves, Discovering Child Development. So I took a textbook that I literally used in one of my classes. I found Vygotsky's name, I took what they said, and I cited it. Because that's just really important. I didn't just pull Vygotsky's name out of thin air. How do they know that I really know that's what Vygotsky said? Well, I backed it up with a book, evidence.
And you use Jerome Bruner.
Yes, where was...
It's right there in the middle.
Oh, here we go. So, you want to keep this in mind in any lesson that you do, not even just in your EdTPA, when you guys go out in the field. Scaffolding is really important, and that was an idea brought up by Bruner. It's the I do, we do, you do. You want to scaffold instruction for your students, and scaffolding is a marvelous term that all educators like to hear, EdTPA likes to hear it too. So
It actually comes from Bruner too.
Yes.
I mean, not Bruner, but Vygotsky also
Right.
first said, and Jerome Bruner developed it
right,
more.
so that's how I tied it. I tied Vygotsky and Bruner because they both kind of mixed together in what I was doing.